Welcome to News Mongolia, where we bring you the latest stories and updates from across the nation and beyond. I'm Battsetseg. On the News Mongolia today, Ulaanbaatar City Council discusses 2040 development plan. Winter tourism in the Khuvsgul region shows growth potential. UN resident coordinator presents his credentials to Foreign Minister Battsetseg. For the news, stay tuned. The Ulaanbaatar City Council is holding its second regular session today, January 27, 2025, to discuss the General Development Plan through 2040 and other key issues. The agenda includes public-private partnership projects, amendments to city transport standards, appointment of special economic zone governors, and reports on gender equality and public transportation fees.
Chief City Architect Khuvsgul outlined the 2040 General Development Plan's 6 goals: sustainability, resilience, adaptability, inclusivity, efficiency, and comprehensive development. The plan introduces 2 special economic zones. First, Agro-City in Songunharhan District for food supply and vegetable production. Second, Natlauha for construction and urban development projects. The city's economic influence is divided into 5 regions and 6 development centers, with 470,000 hectares allocated for growth. The population is expected to reach 2.089 million by 2040, with 405,000 people moving to satellite cities to reduce urban density and boost job creation. Infrastructure plans include new heat and communication plants, water resource utilization, and focus on environmental protection and waste management. The goal is to recycle 24% of waste by 2040, compared to the current 2%, with 8 waste separation centers planned. Council member Oyundul raised concerns about green spaces, water resources, and waste management. The chief architect noted that while green areas per capita increased from 6 to 8 square meters, reaching the target of 35 square meters would require significant investment. Plans for surface water utilization, including the Tall River project, aim to reduce groundwater dependency. The session continues with further discussions and recommendations from council members.
A well-developed tourism sector has the potential to become a significant driver for economic growth, generating income on par with industries such as mining and mineral resources. Lately, winter tourism in the Khuvsgul region has shown growth potential.
The number of tourists visiting Mongolia's Khuvsgul region in winter has been steadily increasing, signaling a strong potential for attracting more foreign visitors. One local camp reported hosting 3,000 to 3,500 visitors annually, with the Mongolian tourists accounting for 80% of all visitors. However, the number of European tourists has also been rising recently, indicating growing international interest in Khuvsgul's winter attractions. Programs have been initiated to support winter tourism, so the number of camps operating in winter is growing. We have interesting attractions other than Khuvsgul Lake. For example, Jargant River doesn't freeze even at 50 degrees below zero, and some flora around the river stays green even in winter. Despite its appeal, the region faces several challenges in realizing its full tourism potential. Key issues such as inadequate infrastructure, limited transportation options, and the need for improved hospitality standards must be addressed to enhance the overall visitor experience.
We need some major private sector investment to develop infrastructure and technology to support winter tourism, such as geothermal heating. And, of course, it will require some policy support from the government.
Some of the major problems and challenges are related to waste management, including wastewater treatment.
With its stunning winter landscapes and unique cultural offerings, Khuvsgul has the opportunity to position itself as a prime destination for winter tourism, provided that infrastructure is service gaps are tackled effectively. As the interest for international tourists continues to grow, the region holds promise as a key driver of Mongolia's tourism industry. By attracting a steady flow of international visitors, a thriving tourism industry can create jobs, stimulate local economies, and bring in substantial foreign currency. With the right investments in infrastructure, hospitality, and marketing, tourism can become a long-term renewable source of revenue, providing a balanced economic foundation for countries heavily reliant on mining and resource extraction.
Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs.
The newly appointed United Nations Resident Coordinator in Mongolia, Jaap van Heerden, officially presented his credentials to Foreign Minister Battsetseg, marking the beginning of his tenure. Minister Battsetseg congratulated Mr. van Heerden on his appointment and expressed confidence that he would make a significant contribution to strengthening and expanding cooperation between Mongolia and the United Nations. The new UN Resident Coordinator affirmed his commitment to closely collaborating to implement Mongolia's development policy. He also praised Mongolia for successfully hosting the meeting of women foreign ministers and the World Women's Forum, highlighting the country's contributions to advancing gender equality and women's leadership. With over 30 years of experience within the UN system, Jaap van Heerden previously served as the UN Resident Coordinator for the North Pacific region based in Micronesia. State Secretary of the Ministry of Road and Transport Development Battsetseg signed an air service agreement alongside Sheikh Hamoud Mubarak Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, President of Kuwait's Directorate General of Civil Aviation, during a ceremony held in Kuwait City. The agreement enables airlines from both countries to operate direct flights and engage in commercial partnerships. It also lays the groundwork for utilizing Kuwait as a transit hub for flights to Gulf and European countries, promoting tourism and enhancing trade and economic cooperation. The agreement is expected to facilitate the logistics for Mongolia's meat exports to Kuwait, making them more consistent and economically viable. Following the signing ceremony, the two sides discussed expediting the launch of direct flights. They also explored collaboration between the country's national carriers, Miat Mongolian Airlines and Kuwait Airways, with plans to formalize their partnership through a memorandum of understanding in the near future.
You're watching News Mongolia. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at international news from our partner agencies. Belarusian President Lukashenko has recently pardoned more than 250 people described as political prisoners by rights activists. Recently pardoned Belarusian prisoners were released based on the principles of true humanity and not because of Western pressure, President Alexander Lukashenko said at a news conference Sunday.
He released those who asked for it. Lukashenko said that Belarus is in direct dialogue with the United States regarding arrested U.S. citizens. Commenting on his possible successor, the Belarusian leader said that his sons can't imagine becoming president in their worst nightmares.
As for political prisoners, don't believe anyone who says that someone pressured me, that it was one of the escapees. We have no relationship with them at all, that they asked me or pressured me. No, we released the people who asked for it. This was, first of all, my condition. You see, there are sick people, there are old people. What kind of revolutionaries are they? Well, they broke the law. They'll either sit in prison or we'll let them go and live on their own bread. We won't feed them. I was proceeding from a pragmatic situation.
China's Lunar New Year travel rush has entered full swing, marking the peak of the 40-day annual mass migration that's widely regarded as the largest movement of people in the world. Over the coming days, billions of trips are expected as families across the nation prepare to reunite and celebrate the most significant holiday in the Chinese culture.
On Friday alone, government estimates indicate more than 270 million cross-regional trips were made, with approximately 14.2 million people traveling by train. The migration began on January 14th and is expected to reach its highest intensity over the weekend. Throughout the entire travel rush, a staggering 9 billion trips are anticipated, the majority of which will be by car. Additionally, over 510 million people are expected to travel by train, while another 90 million are predicted to take flights to their destinations. Travel conditions have improved significantly compared to previous decades when passengers often endured crowded, uncomfortable train cars for journeys lasting several days. The shift to online ticketing has also made securing travel arrangements more accessible than ever before, reducing some of the stress traditionally associated with this massive migration. The Lunar New Year holiday officially begins on Wednesday, January 29th, with families typically gathering for a reunion dinner on the evening prior. This cherished festival has long been a time for reconnection, particularly for China's vast migrant worker population. Many of these workers save their limited vacation days for this annual trip, which for some is their only opportunity to see their parents and children. This year, the holiday ushers in the Year of the Snake, a symbol of wisdom, transformation, and grace in Chinese culture. It arrives during a time of uncertainty for China, following a tumultuous 2024 that saw challenges such as a crisis in the real estate sector, a volatile stock market, waning investor confidence, and growing public dissatisfaction. Against this backdrop, the Lunar New Year offers an opportunity for millions to pray for prosperity, stability, and a brighter future. The government has designated an official public holiday from January 28 to February 4th, allowing citizens to fully immerse themselves in the celebrations. While traditional fireworks display has largely been phased out under President Xi Jinping's policies, other customs remain strong. Temple fairs adorned in bright red and auspicious colors symbolizing good fortune continue to draw millions of visitors. These events reflect the enduring cultural significance of the Lunar New Year, a time for hope, renewal, and the celebration of family and community.
Pope Francis warned of the scourge of anti-Semitism in his Angelus prayer on Sunday, the eve of the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, noting it marks 80 years since the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration camp.
Tomorrow is the International Day of Commemoration in memory of the victims of the Holocaust, 80 years since the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration camp. The horror of the extermination of millions of Jewish people and other of different faiths during those years must never be forgotten or denied.
The pontiff also appealed for an end to the civil war in Sudan, which began in April 2023, saying it is causing the most severe humanitarian crisis in the world, with dramatic consequences even in South Sudan. The Pope also expressed concern for the situation in Colombia's Catatumbo region, where many civilians have been killed by clashes between armed groups, which have forced over 30,000 people to leave their homes.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Goodbye.